beautiful, that are actually setting things in motion for you to have a very conducive environment. As I said on this program, we will be looking at environment and how the present administration in Oyo State has actually fared in this particular sector, and how the Oyo State residents are going to have it even better in this Omitutu 2.0 in Oyo State. I thank you for being here on Aloore Radio, and on Aloore Radio you can join us on the Facebook at www.facebook.com/Aloore Radio, on our YouTube at Aloore Radio, on the website www.alooreradio.com. And of course, if you want to call in on the program, our number to call into is 0903 985 3731. If you want to join in on the program, the studio line is open. The number again is 0903 985 3731. And joining us on the program today, because we wouldn't want to take much of your time, is an interesting woman. A woman that understands her onions. A woman that actually, under this administration, as I said earlier, the governor knows how to put the right peg in the right hole. And to do justice to everything we want to talk about on the environment here in Oyo State, I'm delighted to introduce to you the Permanent Secretary, Oyo State Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources, in person of Mrs. Modupe Adeleye. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
When I saw your name, I'm glad to relate with you, because actually, ma'am, I'm Modupe too.
Oh, that's fine.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's good.
Thank you so much for honoring our invitation and for you to be here on the H.O.S Speaks. As I said to the public and to our listeners, we know here in Oyo State, under this able leadership, our governor always puts the right peg in the right hole. And to talk about issues on environment here in Oyo State, I'm glad that our honor, the head of service, had graciously given us the go-ahead to have you with us today. And we are super so glad here in the Ministry of Information, Culture and Tourism to have you with us today.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am. And I know this is your first time in our studios here, where I know you're with your distinguished soldiers here in the studios with all your directors from the Ministry of Environment. And we are glad to have you here in Aloore Radio.
Thank you.
Can I quickly ask, before we go into that, how do you see what was with the achievements of the governor here?
Yeah, as you rightly said, this is my first time, and I'm really very much impressed. He's a nice studio, and we thank His Excellency Engineer Richard Makinde for bringing this up. This is an innovation, and it's really pleasant to the eyes.
And that means I can go and forward and say that there will be more collaboration between the Ministry of Environment and Aloore Radio.
Definitely. Definitely.
Coordinating Director, Ministry of Information, please take notes. Thank you so much. Now, we want to delve into the crux of the matter, Your Honor. I really glad to have you here with us. And I believe that at this particular time in Oyo State, this discussion that we are having today is actually pertinent, and people would actually want to know what is actually going on. We've had the Omitutu 1.0, and now we are in Omitutu 2.0. Your Honor, observing critically the inner traditional core areas of our cities in the state with very high population density. In Ibadan, you have a lot of people. It could be discovered that many houses lack basic facilities like the toilet facilities, even water at times for effective drainage and systems, while some residents in the area live in dirty environment. All these factors are causes of diseases such as diarrhea, vomiting, cholera, and all sorts, even malaria, which is common we can say it is a common disease ravaging West Africa, knowing that it's not in Nigeria alone. Your Honor, ma'am, what has your ministry been doing towards solving this problem, ma'am?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, ma'am.
For this opportunity to be here today.
You're welcome.
And I thank you very much for that question. Yeah, you have stated the obvious. We have this lot in trying to curb and prevent diseases in the state. As you likely noticed, this is a largely populated town, shall I say, and we have very rural areas in the state, and even within the city, we have some areas that are not environment compliant, and that is why we have some areas where we don't have toilets. But the ministry has really stood up to this challenge, and we have been facing it squarely. Some of the areas where we have been handling this matter is a continuous thing, and we have achieved success to a large extent in these areas. Some of these things, some of the areas that we try to solve this menace is in the area of awareness and education. The ministry has embarked on a lot of awareness to the public, letting them know the importance of having good sanitation and the disadvantage of not having such, the inconveniences. So we embark on enlightenment to the public to let them know that it is good to practice good sanitary hygiene. Then also we have regulation and policies that we try as much as possible to enforce. We ensure that we try to let people know that you should have toilets in your facilities, both residential and commercial. So areas that do not comply with this, we enforce our laws to such areas. Also, another area is collaboration and partnership with local governments, because they are nearest to the people. We work with the various local governments in the states. We work with the communities, especially the leaders in such communities, and also we work with NGOs. And this kind of collaboration leverages resources, expertise, and also maybe we try to implement effective solutions to the problems that we have around us. And we cannot be everywhere at the same time. So we encourage people to send in complaints to the ministry that we handle effectively. Immediately we get complaints of areas, some people complain about their neighbors that do not have toilets. Or even areas where maybe their soccerway is broken, causing nuisances. So people report to the ministry, and swiftly we handle such matters because we do not want epidemic in our states. Also, we embark on routine monitoring of premises, public places, residences, commercial areas, even companies or facilities in the states. We embark on routine monitoring of such places to ensure that they have good toilets, water, and drainages. So those are some of the ways that we have been trying to curb this in the states.
Thank you so much, Your Honor. From what you've said, creating awareness to regulation and policy enforcement. Would I be safe to say, Your Honor, that people actually been penalized based on these regulations and policies? Are people actually being penalized? Are they actually whatever penalties that you're giving them, Your Honor, are they actually complying and making sure that they don't go back to what they have actually been penalized for?
Yes. We have, as I said, regulations.
Yes, ma'am.
And then there are sanctions attached to every environmental infraction. What we do, when we see such cases, we try to educate them. Then we give them what to do. For example, if it is toilets, we encourage them to have one, and then we give them deadlines to do such.
Exactly.
Thereafter, we'll go back there. If you do not, then they are penalized. The people have been compliant.
Because at times it takes a strong hands to get people
exactly.
really.
We've been doing that. But you see, before you use strong hands, educate them, let them know the importance of this thing. So you will be on the same page. If you just penalize, some people may not even know the reason why you are doing this. They don't even say anything wrong in it. So the first thing is to educate them, let them be on the same page, let them understand the impacts of this thing on their health. Then, after that, if they do not comply, then we enforce.
That's very good, at least to educate people. We thank God for what God is actually using the governor to do, and actually you in the ministry need to be educated first, and I believe with that people will definitely change and be better in what they are expected to do. Moving on, Your Honor, we want to talk about, because in Nigeria it has always been said that okay, youths of Nigeria, they are very lazy. We heard it somewhere, somebody high up had said it sometimes that Nigerian youths are lazy. And we don't know how the present administration and under your leadership in the Ministry of Environment would actually aid our teeming youths to actually get up and doing. Even looking at the issue here in Oyo State, being an industrialized and populous and urbanized state in Nigeria, and due to such, there are lots of waste being produced and all sorts. Ma, how would your ministry engage the teeming youths and other unemployed adults in waste to wealth strategy towards curbing the problem of excess waste generation and unemployment and crime in the states?
Thank you. First, I want to say I do not agree that youths in Nigeria are lazy. They are very, very hardworking. Giving the youth the right conditions, the right environment, they are hardworking. They are hardworking. So now, what we do in the ministry as regards waste to wealth, as I said earlier, awareness is important. Information is power. Many people do not know that waste is not necessarily waste. You can make a lot from waste. And as you rightly pointed out, this is an industrialized state, and there are so many industries that generate waste. So what we have been doing is awareness also, education in public places, in schools, markets, to educate people, to let them know that you can make a lot from waste, especially the youth and the unemployed adults. Recently, this year's World Environment Day, we embarked on such awareness campaign at Gbagi Market, where we made people realize that the waste generated could be turned to money. Even right there at that market that day, some of them brought out their pet bottles that they thought were waste, brought out their pet bottles that were waste, and they were paid right immediately on that day. Because we went with the consultants engaged by the state government, who is actually handling waste recycling, also an aspect of his job. So we went with them, educated people, and many of them brought out their waste. Some even went as far as to the drainage, the stream that was full of pet bottles, picking them, and they were selling. After weighing, they were given their money. So we embark on this to let youth know that waste is not really waste. You can make money from it. Also, there are some of them that are already in this business. We encourage the youth, we register them in the ministry, and then we give them permits to embark on such endeavor. We also link them up with industries, because we collaborate with industries to ensure that they make their production in environmental friendly systems. They use environmental friendly systems, whereby we encourage them, we advise them to use recyclable materials and recycled materials. This will generate revenue for our youth. Those that are registered with us and are given permits could go into such industries, buy off the recyclable materials, take them out, recycle, or take them to recycling hubs and make their money from there. And then we encourage them, we marry them with industries that do such. So that's mainly what we do to encourage the youth, and it has been a very long turnout, because some of them don't even know what is going on. Come to us, seek advice. Especially, we have departments of planning, research and statistics, and environmental health services. Those two departments liaise with the youth, educate them, and then link them up to where they can recycle.
Permit me, Your Honor, please don't mind me. I'm really interested when it comes to wealth. Everybody's always interested one way or the other to make money. Is it possible, like for just adults or families, and actually make that generate a lot of waste and all sorts? Is it possible to just go without the registering aspect to to these people, and I have a lot of bottles, all this perfume in my house. Can I get money from you?
Yes, I was going to that also.
Okay.
We also embark on campaigns. In 2021, we started this pilot program where we went into households now. We educated them on how to segregate their wastes, especially at source, their domestic waste. We did this in this pilot project in about 5 gated estates in Ibadan here, and we held meetings with them, and we made them realize, we gave them nylons where they can put these recyclable materials and then sell it. Yes, you can. You may not even necessarily need this registration, but just come to the ministry, meet us, we'll tell you how to go about it.
Interesting. It's out there. At least we can generate money.
Yes.
Just don't laze around there, waste all around. Pick them, make the state clean. And the Ministry of the Environment is telling you that as you even go about picking things like that, making the environment neat and clean, you can get money. You can get money.
Nylons, PET bottles, paper, cartons, all these are recyclable. You can make money from it.
So when you see me picking, don't make fun of me. Me, I'm making my money. Thank you so much, Your Honor. Moving on and moving from that as the angle of the papers and nylons and all sorts, there's still another aspect of the environment that it's generating a kind of issue also due to and based on the industrialization and urbanization of the states, or your state is just booming. Under this present administration, industries are coming in and all sorts. And due to this in the state, it has led to deforestation and environmental degradation. And this is coming actually at an alarming rate, if I might say, and which could have a negative consequence on the environment. Your Honor, ma'am, is there a collaboration with relevant NDAs towards ameliorating the situation?
Yes, thank you for that question. Yes, we all know that industrialization, it's good for the society.
Yes.
Technology, industrialization, urbanization, yes, it's good. It has its negative consequence on the environment, which we frown at. And you see, the environment, if we cannot make it better, we should at least leave it, keep it safe for the future generation. So that is why the Ministry of Environment, we have a department of forestry, which is part of the department now, is in charge of that. We collaborate with NGOs, relevant NGOs and NGOs, to ensure that we try as much as possible to keep the environment safe and work on these negative consequences of land degradation as a result of industrialization. So we liaise with the Ministry of Lands because it's the first port of call if in the state, if you want to embark upon any developmental project. The Ministry of Lands is the first port of call. So we collaborate with the Ministry of Lands. We also collaborate with the Bureau of Physical Planning and the Office of the Surveyor General. How do we do that? As I said, they are the first port of call. They engage these developers. So we have regulations, policies. Through our regulation and our policy and our action plans, we ensure that we regulate the activities of these developers and the land, what do you call them now? The land speculation and developers. With our action plan, we ensure that we do not allow them to fully clear the vegetation of any particular place that they want to develop.
Okay.
You should still leave some vegetation. And then we also encourage any developmental projects or infrastructural developments that you should plant trees or ornamental plants in your premise. So this will take care of the negative aspects of this industrialization. So we ensure that we talk to these people in the Ministry of Lands and we work with them, even with the developers, and then let them know that this is our stand, this is what our rule says, and we have been monitoring them and they have been complying. because we all know the role of trees in the environment.
Exactly.
We know the role, so we don't allow them to completely fail off all the trees. If you fail one, replace, you have to replace, plant another one. So that is, then we also collaborate with relevant NGOs that to carry out all these various activities, because we cannot do everything alone. They are out there, so we work with them to attend to advocacy, number one. Two, to attend to all these like strategic actions that will enhance that the environment is kept safe and clean, and to maintain biodiversity. What I mean by that, biodiversity is a particular area, what's the life in that particular area, including the fauna, the animals there, the plants. We work with the NGOs to ensure that if there's anything happening outside, they quickly pay attention to it. These are strategic things we have to act immediately on. So we work with them. We also collaborate with federal institutions like Forestry Research Institute of Nigeria. We work also with the Department of Forestry and the Federal Ministry of Environment in the area of national afforestation. So we've been collaborating with them to give free seedlings to people in the states. And Oyo State has really benefited from this program, especially there's a program we call Green Bonds program under this afforestation project of the national. I think Oyo State has been a size of about 6.32 hectares in Osho Forest Reserve in Ojo local government here has been successfully reforested. So these are the areas of collaboration to ensure that our environment is kept safe, clean. We also collaborate with NGOs in the area of tree planting that will mitigate climate change problems in the states. So these are some of the areas that we are collaborating with the relevant stakeholders to ensure that we face head-on this challenge of negative consequence of urbanization and industrialization.
I believe it's safe to say kudos to you and your team, because people out there would not even know that there are some people actually making sure that the environment that's waking up, sleeping every day. Some people are actually working to make it safe. And kudos to you.
Thank you.
Now, if you're still joining us, you're on to Aloore Radio, transmitting from the GSM Studio, Ministry of Information, Culture and Tourism, here at Agodi Secretariat, Ibadan, Oyo State, Nigeria. And you are on to the program, The H.O.S Speaks. With me on the program is no other person than the Permanent Secretary of Oyo State Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources, Mrs. Modupe Adeleye. I will be right back after this short break. Do stay tuned.
Share, listen to Aloore Radio on Facebook. Aloore Radio, the voice of Oyo State. We bring you everything from breaking news.
President must know that this is a bad time for our nation. We must look for foreign support to save this nation.
World news, sport, music,
Bella just want me with you like guys.
and many more. To listen to our programs, follow us live on all our social media platforms on Facebook at Aloore Radio, Twitter and Instagram at Aloore Radio. You can also subscribe on our YouTube page on Aloore Radio. Make sure you click on the notification bell so you know when we are live. This is Aloore Radio, the voice of Oyo State.
to the head of service speaks here on Aloore Radio, transmitting from the GSM Studio, Ministry of Information, Culture and Tourism. As I said earlier, if you want to join us on the program, you can link with us on the Facebook at www.facebook.com/Aloore Radio, and on the YouTube at Aloore Radio. Also on our website, it's www.alooreradio.com. And of course, the studio line to call into is 090-3985-3731. 090-3985-3731. And still with me here in the studio of Aloore Radio is the Permanent Secretary of your State Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources, Mrs. Modupe Adeleye. Thank you for joining us here, and thank you for all the insightful discussions we've been having since. Let's quickly go on to another aspect of the environment that we would want you to keep stock about, and that is the various activities of the Ibadan Urban Flood Management Project. And we know that it's targeted towards the control of flooding, and actually it is commendable because the effect has been seen all over in Ibadan. That I know I'm very sure of. The expansions and dredging and also that have been going on, so that people of the state can actually sleep with their two eyes closed, especially at the rainy season that we are in now. However, the efforts of similar intervention or your state Nigeria Environment and Watershed Management Projects are yet to be known by members of the public. Your Honor, what should we be expecting from the Oyo State Nigeria Environment and Watershed Management Project?
That's NEWMAP.
NEWMAP, yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Yes, the activities of NEWMAP and IUFNP are similar,
Okay.
like we said, except that the IUFNP is restricted to Ibadan, while the Oyo NEWMAP is for other parts of the states. The program did commence some years back, but Oyo State was not able to start early for the first phase because we didn't kill any time. Let me not go into details. But I want to thank our Excellency, the Executive Governor of the state, Engineer Makinde. When he came on board in 2019, immediately he heard about this program. He paid our own counterpart funds, and that gave us access to that program, which was already winding down at that time. So after the payment of our own counterpart funding, we were able to join towards the end of that program, and that was in 2022. As a result of that, because the program was already winding up, we were only able to do very little thing in 2022. We were able to do something in 2022. And what we did then was palliative measures for some streams and rivers in the state, because it was winding up, as I said earlier on. So we went across the various geopolitical zones of the state, selected some very threatening streams and rivers that could cause flood. So we desilted these rivers and streams. That was all we were able to do as regards that. But you see, flooding issue is not only about dredging. There are other things embedded, which is the watershed management embedded in this other program. So it is necessary to plant trees, grass some areas. This goes a long way in preventing floods. So the second aspect of that we did under NEWMAP in 2022 was the reforestation of Gambari forests in Aloore local government. Some parts of it was reforested under this project. Also, about 400 farmers were assisted under this program by giving them free seedlings. Those were what we were able to do in 2022. But the second phase of the project has commenced in this 2023, and about 7 streams have been earmarked for dredging outside Ibadan, and the actions are ongoing. Even our officers in that project are on field right now doing the dredging of streams outside Ibadan. So it's the same thing except that it's outside Ibadan.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much for giving us the insights on that. At least people at home now will know that Newmark is not actually moribund. They're actually doing something.
No, it's
that
not. It's not.
They're actually working.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Your Honor. And we're gradually rounding off on the program for today. I would want to ask Your Honor, I said it earlier when we started on this discussion. Oyo State government established the State Environment Tribunal and Task Force to ensure that the residents comply with the state environmental laws and guidelines. Your Honor, ma, how would you rate the performance of these institutions as refuse could still be seen being dumped at undesignated parts of our cities and streamlines, and also besides roads, claims, and all areas that are too numerous to actually talk about?
Thank you. Yeah, the Environmental Task Force, as the name implies, is a task force that is expected to enforce rules and regulations on environmental infractions in the states. They have been doing that very well. But you know our people, what we really need is attitudinal change. Because I want to rate this task force very, very high. It's been trying, it's been doing a lot of things. Even they work all around 24 hours. We have officers, they even ad hoc officers that work on shifts. So they work all around the clock. But our people will just not change. They have penalized a lot of people. This task force is authorized to fine people through the tribunal, to penalize people for offenses, and they have been doing this. But I want to tell you that there's a lot of change in the states. If you want to go around now, I can rate them about 70% in their achievements. They have been doing so well. It's just that our people will just not listen. We continue our sensitization, our awareness. We want the people to change their attitude to this issue of illegal dumping of refuse on road medians, drainages, even open spaces within the state that could be put to better use. So the task force has been working and it's ongoing.
Probably, you will see me smiling. Probably the task force should include that if you keep waste, you will get money. I know our people will definitely adhere to
We've
that.
been doing this. We are marrying the two together. Yes, that's why I said it's ongoing.
All right,
we will get there very soon. But there's an improvement, drastic improvements.
Yes, well, thank you so much, Your Honor. I know and I believe that actually Rome wasn't built in a day, and people are actually trying to the government is trying to actually make things work, and I believe that that will be achieved as time goes on. We've come to the point that I know there are some issues that are actually burning right now, and that people in the state would definitely want to hear. You're a beautiful, I can't say the horse's mouth, just the same. You're a beautiful woman.
Thank you.
So, but they will need to hear from you about some issues that are actually germane now in the society. So, the floor is open for you now to actually talk to people about such issues.
Alright. Yeah, the first one is this issue of illegal dumping of refuse, which we have been addressing, and it's been overflogged, and then people have been adjusting gradually. But the trending thing now is this issue of street trading. It's a serious menace in the states. We commenced awareness and enlightenment about a year ago. We've been on it, but we see now that people don't want to listen. That is why about 2 months ago, we met with the Babaloja General and his group. So he appealed to us that we should do the last warning for his people, and we decided to go out together. He went with us with his team. We went to some markets to give them the last warning that the Ministry of Environment was going to embark upon enforcement. We went to about 4 or 5 markets with those people, and we met the market leaders of each of those markets to sensitize them and to let them know that we're going to commence full enforcement, which we commenced 2 days ago. We have commenced ban on street trading, and then any market found wanting or anybody found wanting will be penalized this time around. Enough of this. So we commenced enforcement at Bere, Mapo, Witameri, that's those markets in those areas 2 days ago. And I want to use this opportunity to let our people know. Oyo State frowns at street trading. We would not tolerate it any longer. Anybody found wanting will be dealt with in accordance with the extant environmental law of the state. So I'm appealing to our people, please, let's desist from this act. We have commenced full enforcement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe the people out there are actually listening. Your state government will no longer tolerate street trading, and it's the full wrath of the law for anyone that defaults. So be guarded and be guided. On this note, we've come to another interesting episode of the Head of Service Speaks, and with us since the beginning of the program I've been no other person than the Permanent Secretary for your State Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources, Mrs. Modupe Adole. I cannot thank you enough, Your Honor, for actually gracing this program and being here with us on the program. Thank you so much. And here, she did not come alone to the studios of Aloore. She's here with her lieutenants and Director of Forestry, Mr. S.A. Muradi, Director Environmental Engineering, Engineer M.A. Oladipo, Director of Pollution Monitoring and Quality Control, Mrs. F.E. Adishina. Also here with the Permanent Secretary is Director Admin and Supplies, Mr. K.B. Fasasi, Director Planning, Resource and Statistics, Mrs. Akimbola, Director Environmental Beautification, Mrs. B.A. Oladejo, Director Finance and Accounts, Mrs. S.T. Odetola, Director Environmental Health Services, Mrs. B.A. Areo, pardon me, Mrs. B.A. Areo, Director Environmental Health Services, Deputy Director Water Resources Management, Mrs. O. Bodiraji, Deputy Director Forestry, Mr. K.F. Ariori, and of course the press officer, Mr. Iwole. I will not forget to thank the coordinating director here, also in the Ministry of Information, Culture and Tourism, Mr. Gideon Aladi. Also thank the studio engineer, Mr. Shegun Taiwo, the cameraman with us that has been with us here, Mr. Joy. On this note, we've come to the end of another interesting edition of the Head of Service Speaks. Do join us next on this program next fortnight, and we will be here to give you another interesting episode of the Head of Service Speaks. I remain your host, Abuyi Dilju. Thank you for listening.
We bring you everything from breaking news,
The president must know that this is a bad time for our nation. We must look for foreign support to save this nation.
world news, sport, music,
I'm no vibe, girl, I just want me with you like I said.
and many more. To listen to our programs, follow us live on all our social media platforms on Facebook at Aloore Radio, Twitter and Instagram at Aloore Radio. You can also subscribe on our YouTube page on Aloore Radio. Make sure you click on the notification bell so you know when we are live. This is Aloore Radio, the voice of all you.